storyteller and an energy translator. And we will be getting into that later here. Welcome, Jessie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, and Jessie's coming from an area that I actually know. So she's close to where a friend of mine lives. So I'm excited about that. How's the weather over that part of the woods?
It's been pretty rainy, pretty gray.
I get it. I know my granddaughter was complaining yesterday. She's like, I want summer so bad. And I was like, yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this time of year you see more rain or clouds than or snow than sun.
Yeah.
So, Jesse, where did you grow up? I want to hear your story of how you got to where you are today. And so, where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very small logging town. It's actually about 30 minutes from me now, in Vernonia, Oregon. So tiny town, about 2,000 people. Um, I grew up in a dysfunctional home. So my father was an alcoholic. My mother was super mom. She did everything. And I was a very shy child. I was very shy and I was always, in my room playing, writing stories, using my imagination, like escaping to my imagination. I was a very creative child. So I started writing when I was young, and I loved writing fiction stories. And my mom used to have an old typewriter, and so I would sit at the typewriter and put the paper in and type, type, type. And I just loved creating stuff. I would play, so many pretend games just by myself, and I just loved creating. So growing up, it was kind of a rough childhood, but my mom always was just, like always there and always like trying to make it the best. And so in my teenage years, the beginning of my teenage years, I actually discovered that my father isn't my biological father.
Right.
And my biological father, I actually met him and that whole side of the family shortly after finding that out, and discovered that I'm Native Hawaiian. And I I I didn't really have a feeling that that I had a different dad, but I had a feeling like I was different from my other family members. And when I met my dad and that side of the family, I just immediately had this like deep sense of like belonging. Like they looked like me, like I felt like okay, I this is the piece that was missing, but I didn't know that it was missing until I met them.
How old were
And
you?
I was about 12.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a great feeling, but also came with a lot of hard feelings, a lot of feeling guilty, like I didn't want to upset either of my dads. And also feeling, bad about myself and like, not really like chosen, I guess. And so I had a lot of feelings in my teenage years that I was just trying to like deal with. And I didn't know how, and I didn't know how to navigate it. And I just became very angry and just felt very alone. And in my teenage years, I started drinking. And um, in the back of my mind, like I always just thought that that was like my path, that was like the path. That's what the family tradition was, like my father was an alcoholic, and that it was just kind of subconsciously in the back of my mind, like this is just what I will do. And so I started drinking, and it just like wove itself into my life for many years. And I didn't realize like how intertwined it was with everything until I lost my dad. So my dad that had raised me, he um, got in an accident, drunk driving accident, just a single vehicle, his vehicle, and um, he passed away, and that just really like shook me to my core. Like that just I was not prepared. I mean, we're never prepared, but I was
Right.
not prepared for like such an immense loss, and I didn't have the coping skills. I had no coping skills to deal with it.
How old were you
So,
when that happened?
that was about almost 8 years ago. So I think I was like 29, 29. Um, so so yeah, it was hard and I didn't know how to cope. So I just drank. And then it got worse. It got worse and it wasn't working. Like, I drank to numb the pain, to numb the feelings, to help me cope. But in this case, it wasn't helping at all. It was just like throwing gas on the fire and just making it so much worse. So I kind of like broke down and went to the doctor and said I need help. Like I don't know how to deal with this. And she sent me to a psychiatrist, and I met with the psychiatrist for like 30 minutes. It was a really short meeting. And she said, I'll never forget it. She said, everybody's going through things like this, even right now as we speak. And you, the best advice I can give you is to like focus on the present moment, meditation, yoga. And I was so angry. I was like, okay, yeah, really? Like I could have just I already know those things, Like and and
Right.
I was more angry about everybody's going through this because I was like, if everybody's going through this, then why is nobody talking about it? And why do I not know that everybody's going through this? Because if I knew, then I could be like, hey, so am I. Like, can you help me? Like
Right.
I feel so alone in my grief, and it's like nobody is talking about it. And so I went home and I started like I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have anything to lose. I was out of options. So I started meditating and I immediately was like brought back to my not only the present moment, but in that first session, like I connected deeply, like with my younger self, like my childhood self. And I could see myself on a beach and I could feel myself at that age. And I felt so connected and so comforted and so like, wow.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how a lot of times we don't, it's like we know what to do, but we don't do it until somebody says, "Have you tried this?" And it's like,
Yeah.
even though it's been there right in front of us, but we don't always see it. And sometimes that's why it's good to have mentors or coaches or somebody that can push you when you're down. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. So, but meditation, like you said, it helps so much when you take that time every day.
It does. And I didn't realize that I had lost touch with like my inner knowing and my, inner self. And I didn't realize that at all until that first session. And then that that really started like it was the catalyst for my journey, the beginning of my journey. So shortly after that, I we laid my dad to rest, and the day we spread his ashes, that was the day I said I'm never drinking again because I didn't want that life. I didn't want to have that same story that he had. And I realized that I didn't have to. And so um I haven't drank since then, which is
That's
fantastic.
and that's
Almost eight
awesome.
years.
And I love what you said there is I didn't want his story. I want my own story, which is so, so important, and people don't realize it. And just for those that aren't sure about meditation, prayer is a type of meditation. So when you're just praying to God each morning, that is a type of meditation because it's making you reflect and but having that meditation, even like meditate on positive thoughts, seeing that positivity, like you said, with the ocean and being on a beach is so empowering.
Yes. Yeah.
So I am happy that you said, no, I'm going to do my own story. So sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally I felt empowered, you know, and I also felt like, okay, who am I? You know, like I spent about 15 years just kind of like living in this fog of like who I thought I should be, who people wanted me to be, um, trying to numb all this pain, and I had no idea who I was or what I liked or, you know, anything. And so I started meditating and I started creating again, which is something I hadn't done for many years since I was younger. And um, I remember I wanted to start painting, and I was never a painter when I was young. I have no training or anything. But I just had this idea one day. I was like, I need to spend like 1 hour every Sunday doing something that's just for me. And I need to have that time because I had young kids and I was so wrapped up in just the mom life and like giving my all to everybody else. I never spent any time on myself. And so I started painting just an hour every week. And I will never forget the first time I painted. I bought like a gallery wrapped canvas and I was like, this is going to be amazing. And I had no expectations for it. I had no expectations of like what I'm going to paint or what it's going to be like or anything. I had no vision for it. But I meditated and then I just started painting. And I found so much freedom in painting because I could literally paint my feelings. Like my feelings could just flow through me. I could think about something and it could just flow through me onto the canvas. And I would meditate and I would, you know, have these visions of like, you know, colors and like pieces of paintings and stuff that I wanted to put onto the canvas. And I started doing it and I just fell in love with it. And one of the most freeing things about it was that um, I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to, it didn't have to be something amazing. It could be anything. It could be anything that I wanted it to be, and it could just come out. And I didn't have to overthink it, and I didn't have to think it was wrong. Like it just came out, and then if I didn't like it, I just paint over it, you know?
I
There's
think that's
like,
the simplest thing is like I took my granddaughters to paint pottery last week and they were like, "Oh, what if I make a mistake?" I'm like, "You can just paint over it." And
yeah.
people don't realize that. And that's because when I'm doing interior design and stuff, they're like, "But what if I don't like the color?" I'm like, "You can just paint over it." That's why I say get samples first, 5 samples, but it's such an easy thing. And it's just freeing to know that when you have it in the back of your mind, if it's not the way I like it, I can paint over it. Or when I've worked with kids that have had all those emotional issues, because of the abuse they've gone through, when it's funny, is because they're like you just said, it's like they're so afraid. What if I make a mistake? What? Because they were beaten down. And it's like, and I'll show them, I'm like, I changed the background like 3 times before I liked it. So, it's okay. And when they saw that and realized that they could, it was so freeing. That to
Yes.
just that little thing, you can paint over it.
Yeah, it's like the most freeing thing, the most freeing thing. And I when I realized that, I was so just I had so much like so much more passion and excitement for it, you know? And because I feel like I had always and this is like a common theme in my life, like I've always been trying to like control things and like, you know, hold on too tight and like, you know, I can't let go, it'll all fall apart. But it's like with painting, it like when you let go is when it gets the best, you know? It's like when you let go is when you get into the flow and you don't have ideas. You just paint. And then it's like, okay, this is it when I try it, when I get back into like, oh, well, maybe I'm gonna be turn it into this, you know? No, I'm just gonna let it go. And it's like
Yeah.
everything when I apply that, you know, principle to everything in my life, it's just like it makes it so much better because we don't have control over anything anyways. You know, we just think we do.
Very, very true. It's like when I create pieces like the piece behind me or for clients, right? Because I do the 3D sculptures. I visualize everything. But one of the things I always tell them, my my whole thing is I'm a perfectionist, but I don't want it to be perfect because no tree is alike. Nothing is perfect in nature, but yet it is perfect and it is perfectly beautiful, you know. So
Yes.
so
Yes.
I totally get where you're going.
Yeah. So, after I started painting, and I started writing again, I actually started writing a book, and I revisited all of these really hard times in my life and wrote through them. So I really wanted to like work through, like sit with these feelings because I had just buried them and buried them and buried them. And so for me, the best way to do that was to write about them. So I wrote a book that's kind of like I call it a poetic autobiography. And it's not an all-inclusive story of my life, but just pieces. And it's a lot of the hard times of my life, but a lot of the really good times too. So I wrote it to work through my trauma and my um the challenges that I was still holding on to, but I also wrote it to share it so that people would know that they're not alone in these things because we
So
all
did
go through them.
right. So did you do this as a journal and work on it daily, or how did
So I just did it every so often, probably over the span of a couple years.
okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote a book and but like you said, writing a book made me come out of my comfort, really think, you know,
Yeah.
it makes you think of things that you never would have thought about before. You know, like
Yes.
you said, when you're looking back, you're like, oh, and then you realize that there was a purpose in everything. And you look at all those obstacles and challenges that you went through, you know, and how
Yes.
you can help others go through that, or maybe not have to go through that.
Yes.
So, or be
And
there to empower other people, right?
yes, and especially with addiction, you know, like I've had several friends pass away from addiction. And at that time that I was writing the book, I was getting like, okay, I like it's kind of like an obligation. Like when you go through something and you make it to the other side, like I feel like you're almost morally obligated to help others through it, you know? It's like you know how to get to the other side. Like just share what worked for you or just share, you know? Like you know how it felt. And so that was a big driver behind like why I wanted to publish the book. And so I published the book and I was just like, okay, I hope this can just help one person, you know that they have the same story, you know? And I got so many people reaching out to me saying, "Wow, like this is my story. I can't believe it's crazy to see it like written down." And I was just so blown away. Like I was just expecting like one person.
That's awesome. You know, and that's what I always pray before a show and it's like, okay, if we can just bless one person,
Yeah.
right? Then
Yeah.
it's like, then it's well worth it, well worth doing this show. And is your book available on Amazon?
Yes,
So
yes.
we'll have to make sure we post that link later on
Yeah,
in
yeah, I
this.
can give you the info.
So I love that.
Yeah, so I did the book and then I continued painting. And then I had this I had this kind of like idea that was calling to me, and it was like I wanted to open up like my own art studio and sell my paintings. And I also do graphic design. So I had done graphic design many years prior, just freelance. But I the thing that I love about graphic design is like doing the design that I want to do. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna do like graphic design and make clothing that I like to do, and then also my paintings. And so I opened up this shop in my hometown, and I opened it up for the summer. And I sold like designs that I made that were specific to the town, so kind of like town merchandise, and then my paintings. And I quickly realized that I absolutely hate retail. And I hate all of everything that goes along with it. I all I want to do is create the stuff.
Well, we know what's so funny is like I used to do my whole degree was in fashion design and merchandising, right?
Yeah.
And I had created gowns and stuff for, like you said, for little places, shops and stuff, these specialty shops. But I hated the sewing. I hated sitting behind machine when it was sunny and beautiful outside.
Yeah.
It was like I love sketching it out, doing the design, and yeah, knowing how it. But if I could have just handed the pattern and said, "Hey, make this dress," even though I know how to do that, doesn't mean I
Right.
want to do that, right?
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
so funny how we have so much in common. I
Yeah.
think it's, but when you're creative like that, you come up with so many different things in your mind.
Yes, absolutely. I always have ideas.
Yes.
But yeah, so I tried that, and I realized I can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable because I don't love it, you know? Like I love creating, but I don't have time to create because I've got to like manage the day to day of this. So, um I closed that down, and then well, I should back up because the one thing that I did love about that was the artists that would come in and they would see my work on the walls and they would be like, wait, what? Like this is your artwork and you just like opened this shop and you just put it on the wall and you're selling it? And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, that's all you have to do. And they were just like, "Oh, mine's not good enough. I could never." And I would showcase other people's art as well, which was really awesome. But I'm
That,
just like, everybody's art is good, you know? Like there is a buyer for every type of art, and if you don't put your art out there, you will never find your buyer.
yeah. So I want to say hi to all the different people that are watching. And Vanessa just said, I'm almost 50 and I'm still learning coping skills. So
Oh, so true. Yeah.
it is so. But I know it's weird, but I can't see. I just finally saw that question and I can see there's people watching, but I can't say the names.
Yeah. I think it's
Welcome,
laggy.
everyone. We're so excited to have you. And be sure if you have any questions for Jessie, just ask.
Yes. Yeah, so
So,
so
and now, you know what I think we forgot to ask, say, Jessie, is
oh yeah.
where is the town? Where are you at so that people know?
Oh yeah, so
Kind of.
now present day I'm in North Plains, which is like 30 minutes from Vernonia.
Okay.
So it's in between like Portland, Oregon and the coast. Yeah.
It's a beautiful area.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so I ended up closing the shop, and then I um all during this time I have been working in printing, communications, graphic design, printing, mailing, and I just got, really tired of the day job. Like I felt like it was just, like sucking my soul, like one day at a time. And every day I would go, I was just like, why am I here? Like I just felt like I was meant for so much more. And I wanted a job that was like fulfilling. I wanted to help people. I wanted to do something that was meaningful to me, not just like go to work and print some business cards and it was just very like it wasn't the thing. But I didn't know what the thing was. And I was like, I just knew that I just couldn't do it anymore. So almost a year ago, I quit my job, my day job, and took some time off. And I've just been trying things, different things. When I first quit my day job, I started a podcast with one of my childhood friends. And with the podcast, it's similar to my book. Like, we wanted to um, help people to know that they're not alone by telling our stories, by helping other people tell their stories of what they've gone through and how they got to where they are today, similar to what you're doing here. And
Awesome.
yeah, and we interviewed a bunch of people, a bunch of incredible women, and in every story that we listened to, I love hearing people's stories, and I could resonate with at least one piece of every story. And I found that so interesting because every piece and every story was so healing to myself. And so, like, I realized like we started out this podcast to help other people, but we're really just helping ourselves. And I was
Very,
like,
very, very true. So, and like you said, when I reflect back at, because we've had almost 100 guests, I believe.
yeah,
So that's a lot of guests, and they've all had incredible stories. And some of them came back 2 or 3 times, and each time they've added so much value. And you learn so much from each person's story.
yeah,
You're either inspired, encouraged, motivated. When we first started, we were just because of the people I knew, they were coming on and giving more of a speech of, what they would do at a speaker event, talking about their product or what they do, right? And not telling their story. And I just felt, to me, it felt empty, if that
mm,
makes sense. It
yeah,
wasn't that they weren't incredible speakers, and they are incredible, but I was like, I want to hear their story. I want to see how did they get? Because to me, that's what's motivating. Because, like you said, we've all gone through something. We all
mhm,
have times that are bad or good. It doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor, what race you are, or who you are. We've all gone through similar things.
mhm.
And life isn't perfect. It's a journey. It's full of challenges. It's how we overcome, and if we can motivate or inspire somebody, then, we're better for it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. So when we did the podcast, like I loved doing it because I love hearing people's stories, but I felt like something was missing, you know? It's like I feel like I want to use my gifts and my skills to do something meaningful. And so I did a lot of like introspection and a lot of healing and a lot of reconnecting with like my intuition and my intuitive skills the whole year last year. And I went and got certified as a spiritual life coach, as an intuitive healing modality, and um, that taught me a lot. It really helped me reconnect with um, my intuition on such a deeper level. And that, like, just having that connection daily is so helpful to me because that it just keeps me grounded and it keeps me like, um, it keeps my faith strong because I find that when I don't like meditate and when I don't connect with, my inner knowing on a daily basis, I um fear starts creeping in and all of the, doubt and all of those hard feelings that aren't really my truth, um but are just part of my ego, I guess. So so going through that and then and trying different things, I was like, well, maybe I could do coaching. Um, And then I had all of these different ideas for what I wanted to try. And I start trying them and I'm like, no, that's not really the thing. So, um, the whole year last year I spent just, throwing things at the wall and seeing what stuck. And
Love it.
what do I want to do? What's actually fulfilling? And then it wasn't until the end of this year that I had this idea to start a local magazine. And I got this idea because my husband is a business owner, and I was talking with other business owners around town, and they tell me their stories and, like how they, what led them to open these businesses because businesses are dreams, right? And
Right.
so just hearing their stories, I was so inspired and I was so like, okay, everybody needs to hear these stories, and especially businesses that are struggling because it's like they're struggling, but if only people knew your incredible story, like you could find so much connection there and so much support and so much community. And so I decided I'm going to start this magazine and I'm going to feature like local business owners, and tell their story. I'm going to feature people in the community who are doing things like amazing things and tell their story. And then
That's awesome. I love that idea. Well, it's because, like you said, so many people don't realize what business owners actually go through,
yes,
what's required of them. They just, a lot of times you just always hear, oh, they did this or they didn't, give them insurance or they didn't do this. But when you start looking at it from the business side,
mm-hmm,
people like, well, why didn't they give me money? They're rich. Sometimes those business owners are having to borrow or put liens on their homes just to pay the employees. And
right.
people don't realize that. So I think, like you said, there's so many different struggles and things that affect for businesses. And that's amazing. And I'm excited for your magazine.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was really excited because it's kind of like, it brings together all of my skills. So I can do like the graphic design that I really enjoy. I get to listen to the business owner's story and then I get to write an article about it. And then, it's all of my skills like coming together and I love it. And it feels like good to me and it feels meaningful and it's I'm so motivated because you know, it's all these incredible people and I've brought together like a team of writers and a photographer and all of these people to help make it happen and I'm so inspired by their writing and you can see the passion in their writing and you can see the passion in the photos and it's just I feel like this is like the true definition of community. It's like we all have skills and gifts for a reason that we're born with, and we're supposed to do something with them. But we've gotten so disconnected that like we're all just sitting at home on our phones and then going to day jobs that we hate. But what if we like reignited our passions, our our gifts and use them in ways that are meaningful by coming together and creating things?
Right.
So yeah, yeah,
I love it because you're not sitting at home watching something negative, the news,
yeah.
right? You're actually doing something creative and positive, you know.
Yeah,
And when
yeah.
you're, like you said, when you're writing stories, you're doing graphic design, photography, all of that, and listening to people and putting it out there, their stories, you're trying to motivate, inspire. I mean, it's going to work for you, dear.
Thank you. I
It's
have faith.
amazing. I have faith in you. And believe me, I've been there. So I think of stuff all the time. It's like I'm 62 and I'm still like you. It's like, okay, do I want to continue doing this or do I want to do this? Can I change this? I'm always creating and changing stuff, if that makes sense, because I'm always learning
Yes.
something new. And it just depends, somebody might call and say, hey, have you thought about this? And I'm like going, hmm. And there's times I have to say, no, that's just not going to work right now.
Yeah.
But it's not that you don't want to. It's this, we know that we have so many irons in the pot,
Yeah.
right? We are already doing so many things that sometimes we have to say no.
Yes. Yeah.
But I love it because you're bringing all your creativity. And it's like, you're the brand of this whole thing. It's not the magazine, it's not this person or that person, but it's you who are the brand.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Yeah, I feel really excited about it. And I feel like I love learning. I'm always like looking to learn and to grow and to evolve and I feel like, in life like it's like we're life is about creating. We're here to create like our wildest dreams and expressions and we get so when we get so locked into like what we think we should do or like what society says is normal it's like
right.
we get so stuck and then we can't express what we're here to express.
Yeah, it's kind of like I think of because my grandkids are all in high school or graduated, right? And it's like the one thing they always, people are always asking, well, what are you going to do when where are you going to go to school? Where are you going to graduate and stuff? And it's like, does anybody ever ask, what do you like doing? What do you enjoy doing? Helped you
Right.
figure out what are your talents instead of, a lot of times parents will put it on and, well, I think you'd be really good at this, or partners will put that on us.
Yeah.
Well, I think you should be doing this, or I think you should be, and not asking the questions, well, what do you want to do? What inspires you? What encourages you? Motivates you? Makes you feel good as well, you know?
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's not always just about us, but yet at the same time, when we're doing something, if we love it and we enjoy it and we're talented, then it spreads, that's us and it's easy to do. But when you're, like you said, when you're doing something 9 to 5, having to go someplace that you don't want to go, you don't enjoy it anymore. Yeah, you're good at it. You might be great at it. You might be the number one person in that job. But if you don't enjoy it and love it, why are you doing it? I love your quote, and that's why we kind of went with it. What if you live another 30 years doing the exact same thing? Are you where you want to be? Do you want to continue doing the same exact thing every day, or do you want a little change? You know, I mean, some people have like the perfect lives, and I've had the perfect times, moments when everything seemed like it was perfect, and then something would happen, and it wasn't of no fault of mine, but of something else. And
Hmm.
like you said, are you prepared for that? You know, so
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think like, that's the beauty and the heartache, heartbreak of life, it's the ups and downs. But it's like it's always going to happen, Like it's we don't have control over it and it's like money, it's always going to come and it's always going to go,
yes,
and it's just learning to surrender and learning to just go with the flow and flow with life instead of forcing and fighting and when you're forcing yourself to do things you hate like it just gives off that energy and that's what you're drawing towards you, and it's like when you are doing what you love and what really fills you up and you're passionate about, like it just brings more of that, and the right people come, the right people find you, you find the right people, and it's because you are like doing what your soul came here to do. And so I feel like it's super important for people to just try things, like like gone are the days where you get a job and you stay there your whole life. Like it's okay to try things. And like, me growing up, like I was, very much of the mindset like I have to be practical, I have to do have a practical job. I can't, all of my ideas and my creativity, I wasn't scared to chase them, but other people put that fear on me. And like, oh, well, that's not very practical.
oh, hey, totally get it. You know how many times I heard the comment, well, you're just going to be a starving artist. When are you going to get a real job?
Yes.
I don't know how many times I've heard that, in the past. It's like, well, actually, this is a real job, you know?
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you just, you have to believe in yourself and your dreams. And when you stay connected with your inner knowing and your intuition, like that strengthens that belief, Like because it's planted in your heart. You know because of the way that it feels. Nobody else knows that because they're not you.
Right.
And so when you honor that, like you're following your path, you're following your purpose, and I feel like it just all comes together.
So, yeah, definitely. So, I was just checking our comments here. And Vanessa said, I wish I could part with my paintings. I'm too connected to my art. And, you go with those times when you are. And you when you look back at your art, and because the more you do, the better you get, you find you're like, oh, okay, I really like this one much better. It's like you go through those different stages. And there's times when you're like, oh man, I don't want to ever see that again, or I absolutely love this and could not part with it. So thank you, Vanessa, for that. So, question and welcome everybody who is joining us. And if you have questions, be sure to put them down there and we'll answer those. And people don't realize, but Jesse, you have two little boys, is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
And how old are they?
So they're older now. So my oldest is 15 and my youngest is 13.
Awesome. So you're
Yeah.
you're a busy mom as well
Yes.
as doing this. Well, that makes it a little bit easier when they're in the teenage years to do your magazine. So,
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we actually have a blended family. So my husband has two, I have two. So we have four combined and they're all teenagers.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. We
Actually,
always
no,
we
I
always
love
say,
teenagers. I actually did probably over 30 years of mentoring youth, in which was high school.
"Oh
Um,
wow."
I love working with teenagers.
Yeah. I feel like, I feel like we have really good teenagers. I was pretty wild as a teenager. But, I love every age and every stage because it's something new and different. And now they're getting to be, young adults. And it's really exciting to see them like grow and thinking about their futures and like what they want to create for their lives.
Well, and you were a great example of giving them different options than they would normally get.
Yes, yeah.
So because they're seeing it.
Yeah, and that's one of my goals too. It's like I want to show them like, go after your dreams. And it's okay if they change because we change.
I totally get it. I've changed, I don't know how many times. And like I told you, I'm always changing something. So
Yeah.
go for it. Go for those dreams. Go for what you love and enjoy. So where do you get your inspiration at?
So, especially with my painting, I get a lot of inspiration from my meditations, but when I go to Hawaii, when I go physically on to Hawaiian soil, I am so connected. I've never felt more connected anywhere in my life. And after finding out like I was Hawaiian, like I went there for the first time when I was 18, I think, because I grew up on the mainland and I didn't know that I was Hawaiian my whole childhood. So, um, going there and then meeting some of my family that's over there, it's just been such a blessing. But like that connection that I have, I just feel like it is so profound. Like when I'm there, I can feel like my kapuna, my ancestors, just like in the wind. Like I can feel their energy and I can feel them all around me. And it's like it's a very magical experience. And
Well, I was going to say, when I go to Hawaii, I feel the same way, and I'm not Hawaiian.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
just something I was telling somebody, there's something magical there. I've
yes.
had such amazing experiences. We had friends that lived there, and so they just showed us all the local spots to go, snorkeling and body surfing and to hang out or visit. And you can just spend the whole day and it's so relaxing and so
Yes.
inspiring. So I totally get where you're coming from. It's just
Yeah.
different.
It is, yeah. And it's just like a feeling like I had never known, you know? And so it's like when I go, I get so inspired and I come back and I just paint, 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 paint. But it's like, I just really draw from and I can tap into that, you know, and then and while I'm here, I don't have to be on the on in Hawaii to do that, but it's just stronger when I am. And you know, just really tapping into my intuition and my inner knowing and like connecting with source, really just, you know, what needs to come through me today, you know, like and out onto the canvas. And then I see visions sometimes, but a lot of the time I just put my headphones on and just let it flow.
That's awesome. I know I find my a lot of inspiration, like you said, the ocean, there's something about it, those
Hmm.
waves, the sound, the smell, because it's like it brings out all of those senses, no matter where you're at, or if you go to like the Waimea Valley or those places, the sense of the florals, or there's just so much to it. But even where I live in North Idaho, especially when I go on hikes or up to the high lakes, there's just these different smells, like the huckleberries. I can smell them. The pine, the fir trees, the difference. It's just amazing because it's so quiet, peaceful. I don't know. There's just something about it. It is always inspires me. I always come back in a better mood. I have a
Yeah.
better positive attitude, and I'm ready to paint or take on the world.
Yeah, totally. Well,
But
and I
I was going to say, one thing I know you probably are the same way. When you go to Hawaii, don't you want to stay there for
oh,
like three
absolutely.
weeks at least?
I have been trying to go back to Hawaii for like we go probably every 4 years, but I lived over there briefly for less than 6 months when I was young. I just turned 21 and it didn't last very long. I had to move back because of my living situation, but I have been trying to go back ever since. And, you know, I just have faith that when the timing is right, it'll all work out and I'll go back.
Yeah, well, otherwise you're just going to have to get like a second home there and go during this dreary time, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. But yeah, you know, another source of my inspiration is my grandmothers, you know? Like my Native Hawaiian grandmother, she grew up in Hawaii and she had a hard childhood. Um, you know, it was back in the time when, you know, you had other families like take you in. And my grandmother had many brothers and sisters, and her and one of her sisters and brothers got sent to another household to live at, and she suffered a lot of abuse there. And it was just, you know, I received a lot of my genealogy from my family in Hawaii, and reading through it like was heartbreaking. Like there was some interviews with her sister, and it was just, you know, really hard. And my grandmother ended up passing away when she was 39, I believe, in her 30s, very young from cancer. And I never got to meet her, but she um, was very quiet. And my other grandmother, my mom's side, also had a hard childhood. And you know, it's like the common thread, and I know a lot of it is that generation, but you know, they couldn't tell their stories. You know, they had so much heartache that they just carried around, you know? And I feel like that's one of my biggest inspirations for storytelling is, um, you know, being the voice that they never had, you know, and expressing like what I came here to express because it's such an honor to them because they weren't able to do it in their time, you know? And so I just like envision myself and my grandmother's like, you know, totally like peaceful and just, you know, like We are all like totally expressed and totally um, happy and at peace. And it's just such a inspiration to me in what I do.
Right. Well, and what I noticed, like with my grandmothers, that were both very inspiring, is yeah, life wasn't easy. They went through challenges just like us, but they didn't live in their past. They
Hmm.
moved forward and they were inspiring and motivating. They never talked about their past. Um, and there's good and bads in that because sometimes people have a tendency to live in that past forever and they
Hmm.
never change. And it's like if we're and they become just that victim mentality. Like they're always the victim. And to be honest, people don't want to hang out with you when you're that way.
Yeah.
You've got to get yourself out of that, and meditation and these different avenues, painting, walking in nature, are some of the things that you can experience that help you get out of that funk, or go see a psychiatrist or a therapist if needed. But when we're always in the victim mentality, we're not growing.
No.
We're not learning, we're not inspiring, we're not motivating anybody else, including ourselves.
Hmm.
So it's like take a look in that mirror and say, you've got this, I love you. It's like be give yourself the power to grow, to get out of that mentality. So
Yeah.
but it's like you said, our grandmothers were very inspiring and motivating. My grandmother was even though both of them grew up on ranches and had ranches, and there was like so many stories, right? But she was a news reporter also.
Oh, that's
And then she
awesome.
wanted to go tell the stories of weddings and the different things that were going on around town. And I would get to go with her um, when I was younger. And I still remember how she treated the people that she interviewed. And they were always so happy with her stories that she wrote about them because they were the truth. And it always highlighted the good,
Yeah.
that they did in the communities and stuff. So I am excited. Time is going so fast here,
It always does.
doesn't it? So, is there anything else you would like to share with our audience?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like yeah, I just feel like, life is short and you shouldn't waste it. Don't waste it doing things that you don't want to do. Like you're here to live your wildest dreams, like go get them.
And it's a big thought. It's like when I was reading your quote and then I shortened it for our title, right? And it's like you start meditating on that. It's like, what if I stay the exact same and don't grow?
Hmm.
That's kind of scary, and you might be in a spot where you're like, but I love where I'm at. But you know what? God can always make it better. So it's like, hey, if we can
Yes.
make it better, let's make it better.
Yeah.
Or you find when you're helping somebody else, that's when you really grow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the
And
best. That's the most fulfilling and most rewarding. That's why, use your gifts to help other people because that's why we were brought here.
yes, exactly. So when it's a lot of times, hang out with those kind of like when I did the quote the other day. Um, if your circle isn't motivating you, inspiring you, then you might need to reach outside that circle,
Yes.
right? Because you want to find people that that are going to be there to encourage you, support you, that put quotes on that are inspiring, that are leading you towards doing something positive, whether it's painting, getting out in nature, or just enjoying life. So like you said,
Yes.
life is short, so you need to enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
So, well, I want to thank you so much for being here. And sadly, I can't see the questions keep going in and out. So, if you have questions, please put them there. And Jessie, I will answer them later. much. Be sure to check out the website, Unlocking Freedom in Nature. And I have added some new things there, and I'm adding more stuff all the way.